Right now, there's a number sitting inside a peer-reviewed paper in the journal Nature that almost nobody on Wall Street is talking about. An 800 times reduction in quantum computing error rates. Verified, published, real. At the same time, a small company most retail investors have never heard of just proved it can solve certain optimization problems that would take an entire fleet of Nvidia GPUs literally centuries to finish. Now, I want to be careful here because this is not a video claiming GPUs are dead tomorrow. But something structural is shifting underneath the AI hardware trade, and the three companies positioned at the center of it are not the ones you'd expect. I'm John A.G. This is Future AI Stocks. This video is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I am not a financial advisor. Always do your own research before making any investment decisions. Let's start with why this conversation is even happening. Traditional silicon GPUs, the kind Nvidia builds its entire empire on, are running into physical walls. More transistors means more heat. More heat means more cooling infrastructure. More cooling infrastructure means billions more in capital costs per data center. At some point, you can't just keep scaling silicon your way out of the problem. The laws of physics start pushing back. Here's what makes this genuinely interesting from an investor's standpoint. Nvidia CEO Jensen Huang himself has publicly changed his position on this. Back in January of 2025 at CES, Huang said he believed truly useful quantum computers were still 15 to 30 years away. That single comment wiped out enormous value from quantum computing stocks in a single trading day. But by June of 2025, at Nvidia's GTC Paris event, Huang reversed course entirely, saying quantum computing was reaching what he called an inflection point, and that the industry could start solving real, practical problems within just a few years. When the CEO of the world's most valuable chip company changes his own timeline by over a decade and 6 months, that's worth paying attention to. So what actually changed? For decades, quantum computers have had one massive unsolved problem: environmental noise. Every physical qubit is incredibly fragile, and even tiny vibrations or temperature fluctuations introduce calculation errors, which is exactly why quantum computers have stayed stuck in research labs instead of enterprise data centers. Here's the breakthrough. Microsoft, working together with quantum hardware company Quantinuum, published a peer-reviewed paper in Nature demonstrating something remarkable. Using Microsoft's qubit virtualization platform running on Quantinuum's trapped ion hardware, they reduced logical circuit error rates by up to 800 times compared to the raw physical hardware baseline, taking error rates from around 0.8% down to roughly 0.001%. In practical terms, the teams ran 14,000 consecutive quantum circuit operations with zero errors. That had never been demonstrated before. Why does this matter for investors specifically? Because Microsoft's approach treats error correction as something that runs in software, on top of whatever quantum hardware a customer happens to use, rather than something baked into one specific proprietary chip. That's a fundamentally different business model than building your own hardware. It's a platform play. Ticker MSFT. Microsoft's quantum strategy isn't about selling quantum computers. It's about becoming the cloud layer that every quantum system, regardless of who builds the physical hardware, has to run through. That's the strategic bet behind Azure Quantum, Microsoft's cloud platform, giving enterprise customers access to multiple different quantum hardware providers through one unified interface. On top of that, Microsoft recently introduced an open-source compiler framework called DQ, which is designed to decouple quantum software from the specific physical hardware underneath it, essentially letting developers write quantum programs without needing to know which company's qubits will ultimately run them. Combine that with the Nature-published error correction breakthrough, and Microsoft is positioning itself as the software and cloud gatekeeper for fault-tolerant quantum computing broadly, regardless of which hardware vendor ultimately wins the physical qubit race. The obvious risk here for anyone considering this as a quantum investment, Microsoft's quantum division is a tiny fraction of a company that generates the overwhelming majority of its revenue from Azure cloud services, Office, and traditional enterprise software. You are not buying quantum exposure with Microsoft stock in any meaningful, isolated way. You're buying $1 trillion diversified technology company that happens to be well-positioned if quantum computing matters more over the next decade. Ticker QBTS, D-Wave Quantum. This is the pure play name in this story, and it's also the one that requires the most careful, honest analysis. D-Wave recently expanded commercial access to its Advantage 2 system, which now runs on more than 4,400 qubits, using an annealing architecture, a different approach from Microsoft and Google's gate-based systems, specifically optimized for complex optimization problems rather than general-purpose computing. D-Wave has also integrated its hybrid solver technology with PyTorch, the machine learning framework widely used by AI developers, allowing engineers to fold quantum optimization directly into existing AI training workflows without needing specialized quantum programming expertise. On the customer side, D-Wave counts genuinely significant names including Lockheed Martin, MasterCard, Volkswagen, and Forschungszentrum Jülich in Germany among its long-term users. Now here's where I need to be very direct with you because a lot of coverage of this stock gets the numbers wrong. You may have seen headlines about D-Wave's revenue jumping 509% year over year. That number is accurate, but it's from the first quarter of 2025, driven almost entirely by a single one-time sale of a quantum computing system, not a recurring trend. D-Wave's more recent quarters have looked very different, with revenue coming in well below that spike and in some recent periods below analyst expectations. The company is still operating at a loss, still burning cash, and still years away from proving durable, repeatable profitability. This is a high-risk, high-volatility story stock, not a steady earnings compounder, and it should be sized in a portfolio accordingly. Alphabet takes a completely different approach from both of these companies. Through its Google Quantum AI division, Alphabet has built its own proprietary superconducting chip called Willow, currently running on 105 qubits. In 2024, Willow achieved what's called a below-threshold error correction milestone, meaning error rates actually went down as the chip added more qubits, historically one of the hardest problems in the entire field. Then in October of 2025, Google's team reported something they called a verifiable quantum advantage, running a specific algorithm roughly 13,000 times faster than the best classical supercomputer estimate for the same task. Unlike D-Wave, Alphabet isn't trying to sell quantum hardware or cloud access as a standalone product. It's using this internally to support its own machine learning research, away from public cloud dependency. And unlike Microsoft's cloud gatekeeper strategy, Alphabet is betting entirely on its own physical hardware roadmap. The reality for investors, Alphabet is a nearly $4 trillion company where search, YouTube, and cloud advertising still drive the overwhelming majority of revenue. Quantum computing is a genuine long-term research bet, not something that shows up as a distinct, quantifiable revenue line in any earnings report today. Here's how these three companies actually fit together. Microsoft is building the software and cloud layer that could sit above whichever hardware ultimately wins. D-Wave is the pure-play hardware bet on one specific architecture, annealing, already generating real commercial revenue, but with genuine volatility and execution risk attached. And Alphabet is running its own fully proprietary hardware stack, funded by one of the largest advertising and cloud businesses on Earth, treating quantum as a long-horizon research investment rather than a near-term product. None of this means silicon GPUs disappear. Nvidia itself is hedging with its own hybrid quantum classical platform, called Q2Q. What it does mean is that the assumption that GPUs will monopolize AI infrastructure indefinitely is no longer something serious investors can take for granted. Let's be balanced, because this sector deserves real scrutiny. Quantum computing remains an extremely early-stage, speculative technology. Commercially meaningful, broad-scale applications are still likely years away, regardless of how exciting individual lab results look. D-Wave specifically carries significant financial risk. Revenue has been lumpy and unpredictable quarter to quarter, largely tied to occasional large system sales rather than steady recurring income, and the company remains unprofitable. Microsoft and Alphabet's quantum efforts are financially immaterial to their overall business results today, meaning near-term stock movements in either company are driven almost entirely by their core cloud and advertising businesses, not quantum headlines. And broadly, this entire narrative is sensitive to sentiment swings from influential figures like Jensen Huang. A single comment from a major tech CEO has previously erased tens of billions in quantum sector market value in a single day, and could do so again in either direction. Know your risks before you know your thesis. So here's the takeaway. This isn't a story about GPUs disappearing overnight. It's a story about three very different companies, a diversified software giant, a small pure-play hardware bet, and a proprietary research powerhouse, all racing to define what comes after silicon hits its physical limits. Whoever gets there first doesn't just win a research milestone. They potentially reshape who profits from the next era of high-performance computing. If this gave you a framework for thinking about this space that you didn't have before, hit like. It genuinely helps this channel reach more people who want research over noise. Drop a comment. Which of these three approaches interests you most? Microsoft's cloud layer strategy, D-Wave's pure play hardware bet, or Alphabet's proprietary research approach? Subscribe and hit the bell icon. I'm John A.G. I'll see you in the next one.